Stephen Williams. I'm originally from Durham, North Carolina. Married a girl here in Wisconsin back in 1999, and so you can forgive me, at least I married well. We have 5 kids, and they're ages 15 to 24. Oldest 2 are married, and everybody's still living in Wisconsin, so we're thankful for that. Outside of work, I'm the continuous improvement manager for Milwaukee Tool. I oversee 4 different plants for continuous improvement. Our facility here in Sun Prairie, there's 2 facilities here in Sun Prairie that I oversee. There's a facility in Pittsburgh that I'm helping lead the continuous improvement there. And then there's a facility in Newmarket, England that I'm helping lead the continuous improvement there. And then I'm mentoring a couple of guys down in Mississippi. So I see a few familiar faces. Rick, hi, good to see you. Chris, good to see you guys. So excited to be able to speak to you guys today about continuous improvement. Outside of work and spending time with my kids, I own a storage business. My wife and I started that 3.5 years ago. And then we just recently started a used car business with a friend of ours from church. So I think we're all, entrepreneurial-minded people. I'm not just satisfied with the one 9-to-5 job. I got to find some other things to have fun and bring in some money. So I hope you guys will learn a few things today. I'm working on improving things at our plant in Sun Prairie, but I'm also working on improving other people outside of Milwaukee Tool. Not just the people that I'm working with on a day-to-day basis. So we're going to talk about managing for daily improvement and what we've done with that at Milwaukee Tool. And at the end, we'll have time for some questions for you guys. So Milwaukee bought this company. They sent me over. I was the first Milwaukee person that many of them had met. And the goal of my visit was to convince them that we weren't going to move all their jobs to China. And then also get them on board with what we called managing for daily improvement, or MDI. So I spent the first 2 days I was there just getting to know the people that I was going to be working with for that week, and just getting to know them on a personal level, getting to know them on a business level so that I could relate to them for those last 3 days of the week that I was there. So Wednesday comes, and that's when we're going to start the training. Starts off really well. Everybody's excited about it. Everybody's engaged. About an hour into the training, in walks, as soon as he comes in the room, you could feel the air leave the room. Anybody ever had that experience where somebody comes in the room and all eyes were on me? When he comes in, every head goes down. Everybody's looking at the floor. And as that whole time he was in the room, nobody's looking at me, and they're not engaged anymore. Probably about 20 minutes after he was in the room, he stops me. He says, "Stephen, I've done all of this stuff with managing for daily improvement, and these guys will not listen to anything that you're doing. And what makes you think they're going to listen to you?" And I said, "I don't need them to listen to me. I need to listen to them." And so that's what I'm here to tell you today, is a lot of what I encounter when I'm walking into these businesses is I'm encountering employees who don't feel heard, who don't feel like they matter, who don't feel like there's any value for what they're bringing to the table. And so a few minutes after comment left, as soon as he left, the air came back, everybody was excited. There were a few comments here and there, "Man, I can't believe he came in here. I'm so glad he's gone." And fortunately, it doesn't work for Milwaukee Tool anymore. He made some threats to leave, and they said, "There's the door," and he left. So we were all real excited when he left. So these guys were a shining example of a group of guys that were very skeptical about, first off, Milwaukee Tool buying the company, and then putting in a system like what we have for managing for daily improvement for Milwaukee. Basically, they looked at it as Milwaukee's trying to monitor what they're doing. Why is Milwaukee being nosy about what we're doing? Everything that you see up here on the board, think of it as a scoreboard. It is Toyota 1950. So the technology that I'm going to show you today is like 75 years old. It's not new to world technology, but it's a very basic way to start keeping score in your company and for your employees to know whether or not they're winning or losing. Some of you are not in a manufacturing world, but there's a way within your company, and you guys are bright, innovative people, so you can come up with a way to help your company keep score. So what you're seeing up here on the board is an hour-by-hour board. I'll get more into that there. And then what we call a safety quality delivery cost board, or SQDC board. And this is monitoring production on an hourly basis, and this is monitoring daily production, output, quality, safety, delivery, and cost throughout a whole month. And then we have what we call an accountability board. And that accountability board was probably one of the greatest things that we ever put in. This gave the employees a voice. Anything that they were encountering that was troubling to them, they could bring up to their supervisor or a team lead and have that problem put up on the accountability board. What we found out was about 85% of the problems that happen on the production floor can be solved by the employees. About 15% of the problems they need help with. The reason they can solve 85% of those problems is they are the experts at what they do. You hired them because they're an expert. If you need to micromanage them, why did you hire them in the first place? That's another thing that we run into a lot. It's like our friend that I talked about earlier. He's got his hands in everything, and he can't let people do their own work. Anybody ever work for somebody that micromanages them? You probably didn't work there long because it's a miserable place to be. My thought on that is if you need to micromanage the person, you shouldn't have hired them. You should just be there doing their job instead of them doing it. So our facility in Sun Prairie, we make oscillating saw blades. This is one of our newest blades. We have a carbide edge that's laser welded onto that blade, and then we do a laser etch and a pad print process here on this blade for what you see here. To turn the blade black, we do a black oxide process there, and then we do the packaging. So we're doing all of those steps in Sun Prairie other than the laser welding, the carbide. But that's actually something that we're looking at bringing in for next year. We just got approval from Milwaukee to bring that in. So that's real exciting to do that. The oscillating, if you guys are not familiar with an oscillating tool, they are super, super great tool. I just did a bathroom remodel, and I used a drill and an oscillating tool. Never took out my reciprocating tool at all. Fabulous. Think of it as a much less aggressive Sawzall. Rick used to be our top sales guy. He's probably got a better way of describing it than that, but that's how I describe it. So this is the line of tools that we're making there in Sun Prairie to handle anything that you're trying to cut from wood to metal and anything in between. So some of you guys have probably seen this. This is what we call a house of lean, and this comes from Toyota. And so when you're talking about, anybody familiar with 5S? Anybody heard of that? Few folks have heard of 5S? Okay, so that's the very basics of lean. And lean, basically think of it as a way to cut out the waste in whatever business you're doing. The whole premise of my job is to remove waste from the business. Actually, the number one role for me is to develop people, so the people can eliminate the waste. And so the problem with a lot of companies trying to do lean is they start doing all of these projects. You have all of these things, like I'm going to do a Kaizen event. I'm going to introduce Kanbans. I'm going to start introducing standard work. I'm going to do 5S, and that's going to make these guys buy in. Well, if you just go and do it, they're not going to buy in. So that's another big issue that companies have is they'll hire a guy to come in and make changes. Well, that guy will come in and make the changes, but he doesn't involve the people. If he doesn't involve the people and they don't have a say in what's happening, the changes aren't going to stick. Remember, your people are your subject matter experts. That's why you hired them. And so when you're going to make changes to anything in that facility, you want to have those subject matter experts involved in making those changes. So what I tell people, especially in the lean, because I'm going around the country and teaching continuous improvement, and a lot of the business leaders want to get started here at this foundation. but they're missing something very, very, very important, and that's the culture of the business. If the culture of your business is not a place where people can voice their thoughts and their opinions and bring in their creativity and their expertise, none of this is going to stick. It starts with this. This is the foundation that a lot of companies that I encounter are missing, is the culture. So why are we here? Number one, have fun. Number two, in a CI world, my job is to develop people, create an army of problem solvers. I want everybody in my business to be enabled to solve problems. That's critical. If they can't solve problems and they're just pushing a button every day, I can get a robot to do that. I need them solving problems and making things better and making the business more profitable. Third is eliminate waste. I don't want to be the one eliminating the waste. I want to develop these people so they're eliminating the waste. Because if I win the lottery, somebody's got to take over, right? I'm not going to say hit by a bus. I want to say I won the lottery, right? So I want those guys to take that over. So why do people leave their jobs? Tell me some things. What do you guys think? Why do people leaving their jobs? Bad manager? Yep. What else? That's a big one. Don't feel valued. Yeah. Overworked. Okay. Overworked and underpaid. Yeah. So they're managers. That was the first one you guys said. So you guys may have read this review before. Number two, I think toxic is a word in our world today that is I think it's overused a lot. But in this particular case, I've seen toxic cultures. I just talked about was a very toxic person. Nobody wanted to be around. Nobody wanted to work with him. So I think that is very applicable today. Third, they're disrespected. They're not listened to. They're not heard. So in that case, if you're bringing in these people and you're paying them a lot of money, but you're not listening to what they have to say, then you're disrespecting them and what you hired them to do. They're undervalued. That was another one that you guys cheated on. You obviously read it beforehand. So next one, not heard. That was another one that you guys said. So those are huge reasons why people are leaving companies, and they're going to go to places where they feel like they're being heard. So why are people staying at companies? So at Milwaukee Tool, we talk about culture a lot. This is our culture circle, and you'll see that if you walk into our plant, you'll see that culture circle everywhere in our plant. In production, you'll see it in the offices. In each of these cultural values, our performance reviews are all based off of those cultural values. You can feel free to steal that. You can take pictures of just about anything. If I show a slide that has dollar signs, don't take pictures of that. But you can take pictures of anything that doesn't have a dollar sign on it. These terms, Milwaukee didn't invent these terms. They stole them from other places. But our performance reviews are all based off of these cultural values. And so every single person, from an entry-level guy that's unloading a truck all the way up to the director or vice president, our performance reviews are all based off of those values. And that's what we're using to as a motivating tool for the company. So why are people staying at their company? A healthy culture. You guys tell me some reasons. Why are you staying where you're at, or why are people staying with you?
They feel valued.
They feel valued, yeah. They're respected.
Feel like you're bringing them.
Yes, for sure. That's huge. You're bringing value. You're being heard. You're making a difference in everything that you do. So opportunities to grow. We don't want to go someplace. Most of us, everybody in this room is entrepreneurial, or you wouldn't be here. We want to grow. We want to get better at what we're doing. We want to do something. 5 years from now, we want to have improved what we're working on or what we're doing. Collaborative work environment. This is a big one. I think there's a lot of environments that I walk into that are stifling because you've got people that are in their silos, they're in their box, and they're the only person that they're really dealing with. They want to put their peg in their hole all day long, and then they want to leave at the end of the day. What we need them to do is we need them to work with other folks and solve problems and make the business better and grow. Meaningful work, you guys brought that one up as well. And you want to work for a company that cares about you, and you want recognition. You want to know that what you did was valuable to the company and valuable to the people that you work for. So there's two main reasons in a production world that people make mistakes, and I imagine that this carries over to the office world or whatever business that you're in too. And those two things are there's no standard or the standard is broken. So the thought there is in production, if you're going to make a product, you need to have a plan for the person that is actually doing the work. And they need to know what good looks like and what bad looks like. And they need to be able to have a step-by-step plan to make their product and to make it right. So throughout my production management career, I couldn't tell you how many people I wrote up for poor performance. A lot. I started as a production manager back in 2000, and there was a lot of people that we wrote up for performance, fired for performance. But I got together with, about 5 years ago, I got together with Ray. Ray was an ex-Toyota production manager, and he taught me that the reason that people make mistakes is because they didn't have a standard in the first place, or the standard that they had was broken. That was an eye-opening thing for me, and since we've learned that, now there are some exceptions to the rule, but there have been a lot fewer terminations for performance since adding that. What we've done is we've gone back and we've looked at the processes and said, what can we do to improve this process so that I can train anybody to do that job and they're going to make a good product with it. So that's been huge for us. I'm going to show you a couple of pictures here. These are all Toyota guys. Taiichi Ono is former big dog at Toyota, and he had a statement, the Toyota style is not to create results by working hard. It is a system that says there's no limit to people's creativity. People don't go to Toyota to work, they go there to think. Is that true of your company? I don't need you to say anything, but think about that. Are people going there to punch a clock? Or are they going there because they feel valued? They feel like they can go there and grow their career and make a difference for the company. Fujio Cho's former chairman of the board at Toyota, he said, first we build people and then we build cars. That's one of those statements that is haunting my brain on a regular basis. It's very easy. Most of us in here are where we are because we fixed problems to get where we are. It's very natural for me to go into a facility or a place where there's problems and just want to start fixing stuff. But I can't do that. I have to develop the people and I have to trust the experts there to be able to solve the problem. They generally have an idea of what they need to do to solve that problem. They just haven't been pushed or enabled to solve that problem. And lastly, Taiichi Ono, having no problems is the biggest problem of all. Anybody ever sat in a meeting where you're talking about the health of the business and somebody says, yep, no, we're good. No problems in this department. That's the biggest problem of all. There's always something that we can improve on. And I'm not telling you that all of us have someone in our life that's nagging us about something or complaining about something that we're doing. And I'm not saying that that's this person. We need to be constantly improving our processes because that's what's going to set us apart from the other businesses that are trying to do the same thing that we're doing. Imperial Blades started that's the company that Milwaukee bought in 2018, started with Chris's dream in his wood flooring business. And it grew and grew and grew and grew until Milwaukee took notice. And Milwaukee said, we're not competing against those guys. We want to buy them. And Chris accepted, thankfully. But Chris solved a lot of problems to get there. Milwaukee came in, and we saw a shift. Not that Chris wasn't doing this, but we saw a shift in culture in a good way. Chris was already established with a very good culture with Imperial Blades, and that improved with Milwaukee coming in, because we were all enabled to be problem solvers. We were very small prior to that. Milwaukee dumped a lot of firepower in and helped us get big and solve a bunch of problems. So one of the things that we do is we recognize people for these cultural values. And so once a month we have an all-employee meeting, and we'll recognize 2 to 3 people that do something exceptional that exemplifies one of these cultural values. These cultural values, you may not be able to see them: extreme ownership, user-focused, solution-driven, one-team mentality, relentless improvement, disruptive mindset, candid, and speed, agility, and urgency. So if you're exemplifying one of those things, that doesn't mean that I come to work, I show up every day, and that means that I have one-team mentality. No, it's got to be something that's exceptional. It's got to be something above and beyond what you're normally doing on a daily basis. If you guys have anybody that's in the military, you may think these look similar to military challenge coins, and that's where they came from. And that's kind of the idea, is we're challenging these people. We're recognizing them for doing something exceptional, and then we're rewarding them for that, but we're also challenging them to continue to do things that are exceptional. Another example, anybody ever pick last at kickball? Okay, that's was pick last at kickball every time. It was, if you think about the worst performer where you work, there's somebody in your job that everybody knows, that's the worst guy here. If they ever have a layoff, he's the first one gone. But he was a thinker. He was not fast. And if he was in the packaging team, and when people went to the packaging cells, they'd go to a board and they'd find out where their assignment was for the day. And if they saw on their team, oh my goodness, he's on my team. We're never going to hit rate today. But he was a thinker. He wanted to succeed. He just did not have the manual dexterity to succeed. So he was always thinking of ways that he can improve. In this particular one, we gave him a culture coin for never settle, always improving, because he was working on our hand pack line, which is a U-shaped conveyor belt that packs go by. And as the pack goes by, people put parts in the pack. What was happening is, for this particular case, we're putting sandpaper into this box, and there's 5 different flavors of sandpaper in the pack, or in the stack. But in this particular case, all the stack was oriented the same way when they would get down to the quality person. So when the quality person would get the pack, they would have to take the pack apart to count the pieces of paper and make sure that they were all there. So we came up with the idea of, well, let's turn each pack 180 degrees different from the pack below it. So very good thinking. So now we eliminated our bottleneck at our quality person. So we gave him a culture coin for that. And let me tell you, we do our monthly celebration where we all employee meeting, and when we announced was our winner, it was like Rudy. If you ever seen the movie Rudy, everybody was super excited for. As much as they didn't want to be on a team with him, they all recognized him as the underdog, and they were excited that he got recognized for something going above and beyond. So visual management. So this is something that you guys used coming over here today. Everybody drove, I assume. And when you're driving, you're going down the road, you're staying between the white lines, or white line and yellow line. You're going 55 miles an hour, or within 20 miles an hour of that probably. And so you know to do that because of the signs on the side of the road. You know to stop at a stoplight because of the signals. You know what this means in your car, right? The gas gauge. You know you're going to run out of gas if you let that get too low. You know when you're watching a football game, what's going on in that game. Anybody here ever watch a football game without a scoreboard? It'd be miserable, right? You wouldn't want to watch that. You need to know what's going on. You need to have those visual cues. So we brought those visual cues into production. And so a lot of our visual cues are squares on the floor, or lanes on the floor, or cones on top of a pallet. And so we've cut out all of the verbal communication in our facility regarding production movement. So when a pallet goes from one place to another, for instance, the person in packaging department knows to move their pallet when they're done to an orange square. The orange square means that it needs a quality inspection. When the quality person sees that pallet in the orange square, they know they need to do a quality inspection. Once they get done with it and they do their quality inspection, they move it to a green square. When the material handler sees a pallet in the green square, he knows it's already gotten a quality inspection. So then he takes it, he wraps it on our pallet wrapper, and he puts it into a shipping lane so that it can go out on a truck. It's all visual. There doesn't need to be, hey, Kurt, this pallet done? That ever happened at Swiss Tech? I don't know if this order's done or not. I'll just rerun it, just redo it. We don't know. So there's a lot of extra work that happens if you don't have the visual management in place, right? Anybody ever gone through construction and the roads are all jacked up and you end up taking a wrong turn? What happens? You got to redo part of your trip because the signs were jacked up or different than what you expected. So that's a big key, is getting people familiar with whatever system you're going to put into place. And I'm sure you can come up with something similar in an office setting to cut down on confusion. And that's the idea here, is we're taking the guesswork out of what we're doing on a regular basis. Again, scoreboard. What's going on in this game? Somebody tell me. Who's winning? Home. Who's got the ball? Guests. How much time's left? Where's the ball at? 11-yard line. We can't see the game, but we can tell exactly what's going on, right? These guys have got a chance to win. They're not winning now, but dude, they're making their way down the field, and they could win this game. So we need this to know what's going on. How many times in our facilities or in our office or whatever do we go up and we say, hey, Todd, did you get that report done?
Yes.
Okay, good, Todd, thanks. But what I would rather have happen is Todd gets done with that report and he gets it in a completed report slot to where I can just look at the slot and say, okay, yep, good, Todd got that report done. I don't have to go and talk to Todd, because if Todd is off, talking to somebody else to consult and get improve something, and I'm looking for him, I'm wasting time doing that. So we want to put things in place to where we can look at something and within 5 seconds know if we're winning or losing, right? When we look at this scoreboard, within 5 seconds, we know exactly what's going on. So what we want to be able to do is when you walk into your office, production area, whatever, you need to know within 5 seconds, are we winning or losing? And so we need some type of scoreboard to tell if we're winning or losing. So I'm not going to dig through this, but this is from a book called The New Shop Floor Management. And this is a very dry read. You need to be on Adderall to read the book. But it is a very good book for helping you understand the value of involving your employees and making them into process owners. That's very critical, is that they have ownership in the process that they're working on. And so think of this as a production area. You've got your production people here, you've got your team lead or manager right here, and all of this is reports, so they can tell what the score is for what they're doing. They have a mission statement for their department. They have metrics up here. These are that have trend lines on them to tell what their time, over time, are they winning or losing? They have information from their customers visual to them to know what's important to their customer. Do you guys know if you guys have a customer that is complaining or has a problem, are you guys aware of that? In our facility for a long time, we weren't aware of those issues. And so now we're starting to get some visibility to that on the production floor for those guys to be able to see what the problems are that the customers are facing, because those guys on the production floor, they're the ones that can solve that problem for the customer. Plan of action, that may be what you're going to do here for the next month or week. Skills matrix. So let's say this guy calls in sick tomorrow. We need to know who's next up, who can fill his spot. We've got to run that line. We need to know who's next up. That's something that's very important. It's something we have recently added. It's not something that we're experts at yet, but it's very important to know who can fill in the gaps when things happen. So the rest of it you guys can kind of make sense of on your own. One of the things that I talk about when I'm doing production is point of use storage. Are you guys familiar with that term? So the idea with point of use storage is when you're doing production or doing anything, that the more that's within reach of your hands, the more productive you're going to be. If I have to walk away every 5 seconds to do my job, I'm not going to be very productive. So think about this. This is a 1983 Honda Accord. A few of you were probably around in 1983. There's 4 buttons on the steering wheel of this car. Somebody tell me what they are. Somebody younger than 40, tell me what they are. All right, somebody older than 40, tell me what they are. They're all the same thing. I'll give you that hint. They're horns. Yes, they're all the horn. So you can see everything in this car. It's within reach. It's not right at the steering wheel, but it's within reach. Imagine if you're driving that car, you've got to jump in the back seat to push the brake pedal. Kurt's laughing. So Kurt, but how many times do we do this in production where we're running our line, but every time something breaks, I got to go over here, way over here and fix it and then come back to doing my job. That's production, right? So what we want to do in production is we want to bring everything closer to the operator. And we can do that in an office setting too. What can we bring closer to the operator or the person working? So any F1 fans here? There's a few heads nodding. So this is Jackie Ick's car from the 90s. This particular car is a Ferrari. And if anybody ever done racing go-karts down at like Sugar River Raceway? Super, super fun. But if you do that all day for a couple hours, you get done with it and your shoulders are killing you. Because you're wrestling this little 150-pound go-kart around a track and your shoulders just kill at the end of that. Well, imagine this is a 1,500-pound car and he's going 200 miles an hour, not 50 miles an hour, and he's got to take his hand off the steering wheel to shift. That is not productive, and it's very, very unsafe to do that. So what we want to do is what Ferrari did in, I think it was 1998 or 1999, they brought in paddle shifters. So now the guy doesn't have to take his hand off the steering wheel, right? He can do everything he needs to do right there. Well, not everything. 2023, I had the opportunity to go over to Williams F1 in England, in the Grove in England, and this is George Russell's steering wheel from his car. Everything that he needs to do is right here. He might have to take his hand off the steering wheel to turn a knob on the front here. But those of you that can drive a stick shift, you know that this is your clutch. His clutch on this car, on this handlebar, is these 2 fingers. This is his clutch. He's upshifting here, downshifting here, and then he's got his clutch with these 2 fingers. So the only thing he's doing with his feet is gas and brake, and everything else is right here. So that's when I think of an optimal production area, I'm thinking of everything right here. Think of anybody that's a video game player. If you're playing a first-person shooter game, and sorry if anybody doesn't like guns, but if you're playing this first-person shooter game, you're just pushing a button to reload your gun. I'm not a video game person, but my kids all play. But if if in real life, you might have to reach back here, wherever your magazine is to reload your gun. But the closer it is to where you're using it, the more productive you're going to be. And so we do this in production, but we can also do this in an office setting too. This is a 2023 Honda Accord, so you can see some pretty big advantages in 40 years. I think there's 36 buttons on this steering wheel compared to the 4 on that. You can control the climate, you can control your cell phone, you can control everything from right there. So lots of improvements. Point of use storage, they put everything right within reach of the driver. He doesn't have to reach over here to do anything. He can do all of it. He can navigate this entire menu from right on that steering wheel. So when we're doing one of the basics, after we've established our culture, we bring in what we call 6S. You guys may be familiar with 5S. Some safety guy got offended, so we added a 6S, and that's where we get 6S from. So this is what we're doing in our facility. We give everything a place. That's what 6S is. Everything has a place and everything is in its place. If you're not using it, it's hung up on the board. And what that does is it helps us find everything. We don't have tools going missing anymore. We don't have anybody looking around for any tools because every tool in our facility has a place. And we're looking to extend that to the office. And that's really going to piss some people off. Because when we get into their desk drawers and be like, why do you got 7,000 pens? You can't write with more than one at a time. But that's the next steps for us. So what we're doing with this is we're going in, we're 6S'ing, we're involving the team. The team comes in, does a 6S event. We put tape down on the floor that means certain things. Red is fire-related or hazard. Orange is quality. Yellow is our aisleways. Green is first aid or finished product. Blue, raw materials, etc. So we have stuff there that has a meaning. So when people see that color, they've been through the training. Everybody in our facility has been through the training. They know what that color means. And they know there'll be a label there so they know what goes there. So if it's missing and the tool that goes in that spot is also labeled particularly for that spot, so they know if they find it someplace else, they know right where it goes back to. Once we're done with that event, we develop an audit process specific to that work cell so that we can make sure that work cell stays in tip-top working order at all times. And then we assign what we call a 6S champion to that area. That person is not the boss, but what they're doing is they are making sure at the end of the day that things are picked up and organized. They might have to say, hey, Scott, you didn't put your broom back yesterday. Do you mind today just making sure that broom gets put back? And they may have to remind people that on a regular basis. But and when you first start this, it will be very frustrating. One of the things that we teach in CI is it takes 21 days to create a habit. That means for 21 days, you get to babysit everybody putting the broom away. It's not fun, but after that time, the people will put the broom away. So this is an event where we involved our people. You can see this is our black oxide area where we came in and we made some improvements there. This is the next version. This was 2021. This was 2024. We came back in. Chris, we got rid of the Imperial Blue, sorry, and we went to Milwaukee Red, and we used Milwaukee Pack-Out stuff on the wall. So we're using the brand. So people were excited to do that. And you can see it's not me over here making this change. It's the people from the work cell that are doing the change. And we said, you guys set it up the way you want it. And then I helped them make sure we were putting tape on the wall straight, teaching them the right way to do that. So there's little things like that we're teaching them to do. We're not just letting them loose with a paintbrush. We're teaching them how to paint. Teach them how to stay in the lines. So. Yeah, there's a few folks. You should come through for a tour. Okay, the next level of this is giving everything a place, and not just a place, but an address. So when I use hammer number 5, I know that hammer number 5 goes back in the number 5 slot. So that's the next level for us, and we'll show you that here. this is in my office where we keep all the labels and everything stored in my office. When you come in there, you know right where the labels go. And if you need to order more, you scan that, it takes you to the website, and you can order more. This is something you can use in any setting. How many times, anybody ever run out of an office supply? How frustrating is that? So what the next level that we need to do here is we need to set a min-max, saying when we get to 2, we need to order 3 more. So that's definitely, if you don't take away anything else, you can take that away because everybody's got an office supply closet, right? So that's next level for us in what we're doing in our Success CI journey. This is a company that I worked for previously, and this is what they were doing with Success. They used the foam, and everything had a spot in the foam, and they were doing this in their office and on the production floor, and in all their labs. They had a cart in every single production area. They called it their 5S cart with tape and all the supplies that they would need to tape off anything that they're doing. Then we did a scorecard. So we do monthly audits on that, and to try to get people to improve and do better at what they're doing. Standard work. The idea here with standard work is that you can't just go in and be like, hey, Kurt, I got a better way to do that. Start doing this. See you later. If you're going to change something, you have to create a new standard, okay? And that standard has to be signed off on and agreed on by everybody in the room. You can't just go like, hey, Rick, you're not selling stuff the way you did anymore. You're doing it this way. We'll see you Tuesday. Go out and kick some butt. You've got to get buy-in from the team. The team has to feel like they are part of that decision. If they are not, then what's going to happen is you're going to backslide. And as soon as you leave the room, everything falls apart. So that's key. So this is our hour-by-hour board. So this gives us production numbers for everybody that in our facility, and they're recording their data, win or lose each hour. They're recording their data. So red is they missed, green is they hit or exceeded their hour, and so we can very quickly come into that department and know whether or not they are winning or losing for the day. We can see here the plan was for them to be at 7,313. They're at 7,297. They're 16 behind, but they're catching up. They won't have any problem hitting that for the day. So accountability board, this one is huge. What you see here is any problems that get up on this board are problems that the production team couldn't solve. And so what we do is we have managers over here on the left. Those problems get assigned to a manager, and then it's their job to work with that production team to get those problems solved. They have 30 days to solve it. If they don't solve it, then it goes into past due, and then we harass them every day till they get it solved. Once it's solved, we move it over to 30-day follow-up. After 30 days, after it's solved, we bring over the production team leads and say, is this really solved? Brian said he fixed it, but is it really fixed? We're about 90%. About 90% of the problem solution sticks. 10%, we got to go back and hit it again. So conclusion, listen to your employees, co-workers. They want to be treated as experts at their job. Go where the work happens and ask questions. We do a twice-a-day gimbal walk in our facility. We are going out to our facility every day. We're looking at those scoreboards. The team lead reports to us twice a day what's going well, what's not going well, what he needs help with, and that is key for our production area. That's something that whatever business you're in, you can go around to your employees and find out what's working and what's not. We do that twice a day. All of the managers are required to be there for both of those walks through production, and the team knows that at 8 o'clock and at 3:30, they're going to see us come through that facility, and we're on time. We're starting with or without you. And with this, we are creating problem solvers. We're giving them the opportunity to grow. We have a lot of classes. All of the training classes that I teach, we bring in people from all departments. We bring in someone from quality, bring in someone from engineering, someone from production, and we are keeping score. Did we win or lose? We're finding the waste, we're eliminating those wastes, and we're giving our employees opportunity to collaborate and be heard. Questions? I gave you a lot of information really fast, so.
I'm colorblind, so the red and green thing is terrible.
No, I can't help you with that, Todd. Or Kurt, sorry, Todd.
So over the past 20 years, I've seen this implemented in our
Yeah.
plants and with success. But when I go to China and see what they're doing and cranking out massive output, are they doing this? Because I don't really see them doing this. I don't see them.
Depends on the facility.
Yeah.
Our facilities, yes. Our facility, we have China facilities in China and Vietnam, and they are doing this. And I would say they are at our level because we have a team over there that has gotten the same training that I've got, and they're there all the time on a daily basis, doing these audits and checks and working with the team to improve the processes.
So, I mean, history is this came from the U.S. in the 50s to Japan, right? Then back to the U.S.
Yeah.
And where is it in that process going to China? Is it dribbling into China? Is it, well, I mean...
For Milwaukee, it's established.
Yeah.
It's at the same level that we're at because Milwaukee's emphasis for it. We have an entire team. It's called our Operational Excellence Team, and that is the team that I'm on. And they send all of us. They'll send all of us anywhere. So they keep threatening to send me to Vietnam, but they haven't done it yet. So I'd love to go. Yes, ma'am.
Do you ever see a tension between standardization and creativity?
A standard between the two?
Like a tension between the two? Like
A tension between.
one of your slides, you talked about standardization.
Mm-hmm.
But then you also had a quote from one of the Toyota folks on
Yeah.
creativity.
For sure.
Like, we're in professional services, so
Mhm.
I know it's different, but I'm just curious if, we always have that tension of if I standardize, then
Yeah.
I'm not letting people create something.
True. Agreed. So the standard today doesn't mean it's the standard tomorrow. So if you have, we need people's ideas, and so that's what you saw with a couple of different things. I didn't touch on it much, but we have what we call a great idea board, and that's for people to give their creative ideas to improve something. And in the particular case with put in an idea to improve a process, and that was him using his creativity to figure out what that is. So no process that we're doing is as good as it can be. Any standard that we have in place, it's the standard today, but we want to improve that standard tomorrow. And so we need everybody's expertise, creativity, input, experience in that. It all goes into that. Do not think of a standard as a box that you can never get out of. The standard is easily manipulated and easily fixed. And so when we do a standard work training event, we are coaching people on that, and they get to be part of creating that very first standard. And then they can, as the team, if the team decides they want to make a change to the standard, they can make the change, because the team leader of that department is now the owner of that standard work. It's not owned by management. It's not owned by engineering. It's owned by the team. And so that's how we're dealing with that. It's a great question. Yes, ma'am.
So if you have an organization that's built of different companies, how do you encourage those companies to standardize to one process without making the employees feel like they're not respected or they don't have a say?
Great question. So in our particular case, Milwaukee is a company that's actively buying other companies. And when you're buying companies, the people you're buying are skeptical, and they may not be coming from a healthy place. In our particular case with Imperial Blades, Milwaukee bought a very healthy, very successful company. When they bought, it was 50-50. And so we've developed that culture there at the same way that we developed it anywhere else, by valuing the people and their opinion and bringing them in. Anytime we're making changes, it's just not like, all right, guys, we're tipping over all the desks today, and we're bringing in new ones. And everybody's going from a chair to standing up, and you're going to love it. So no, they get a say in that. And so anytime that we're making changes, we're bringing that team in. I can't say never, but most of the changes that are happening in our facility and in all of the Milwaukee facilities are following the same change guidelines, because there's someone like me in every single facility that has gotten the same training, and we're constantly training and constantly talking through development and change management with everybody in production. One of my CI employees this past 2 weeks, her goal was to get everybody on the production floor training on success, and she's done that. So, anything else? All right, I'll be here till the end, so you guys are welcome to ask me anything you think of. I also have business cards, and then you can write down email address there. And looking forward to talking to you guys as the day goes on.
Tours.
Say?
Tours.
Tours? Yeah. Oh, yeah. If you guys are interested in seeing this live, you can write this down, email me, come through for a tour. We do tours at least once a month. I'd love to have you and anybody from your team that you think could benefit from this come through and see what we're doing. We love what we're doing, and we love developing Wisconsin manufacturing and offices. A lot of, some of you may be familiar with a company called WMEP, and we work with them. We are one of their flagship places, so they bring tours through our facility regularly. So I get calls from them at least once a month. Hey, can I bring somebody through that we're trying to develop? So if you saw us 10 years ago and you saw us now, it's a completely different facility because of the work that Chris started and then what we've carried on from that. So cool. All right. Thank you. Thank you guys.